language would you use in contemporary mainstream teacher education to describe the importance of nature spirits and elemental beings and their respective roles in nature? And that's assuming that, there are quite a few assumptions in this question.
Yes, there are, aren't there? One very important assumption that I'd like to, touch on or just start with is the whole question of belief. Because if a philosophy becomes one of belief, it rapidly becomes a religion. And when you say the words nature spirits and elemental beings, these are words that Rudold Steiner uses in reference to the living world in many different contexts. And so if I speak for myself, I have difficulty imagining such beings. Or if you like, I have difficulty in my modern mind in rejecting as nonsense that any such beings should exist. And I think Rudold Steiner describes his perceptions of such beings. And like many of the things that Rudold Steiner brings forward, I look and I say, thank you, that's very clear. That's very interesting. What does that do to me when I read that? What sense does it make for me? And very often I will say, I can't make sense of that. I respect it. I just don't have the experience of it. And I lay it aside. And I move on to some other area of what Steiner offers, which does make sense to me, which I can take a hold of. And I think it's really behoven on the whole of an approach to Steiner's work is to find that area where Steiner speaks to you and to work from there and to ensure along the way that you never surrender your own experience and your own thinking into a form that believes and accepts. But neither does it skeptically say, oh, that's a load of rubbish. I can't take that. That's nature spirits. That's just over the top to me. It's finding that balance in oneself, which allows something to be taken and placed. And sometimes they say, just placed there and left. I leave that. Can't deal with that. There it is. And I have to place something else that I find I can develop in myself. And that, I think, is crucial. So on the one hand, and there are anthroposophers, as I'd say, and I think I certainly have been guilty of that in my path, to be a believer. It's not a good direction to go. And I've bumped into myself as a believer, and I've been so grateful for those who have challenged me and said quite robustly something, and I've gone, right, I can really see in myself where I've strayed from my own free thinking path, my clear thinking path, where I can say Rudold Steiner describes this and that and the other, is where I start to think that I experience it myself. And distinguishing my own experience from what Rudold Steiner describes, which can be hugely stimulating. It's like somebody describes a foreign land and you haven't been there, but you feel by the richness of their description, you feel you have been there. And then you realize, no, I haven't been. Say, I've read a book on South America and I'm just so, for instance, humbled to read the biography of Humboldt. By the time you've read the biography of Humboldt, you feel you've traveled to all these places. You feel you know them. And then you realize, oh no, I've actually never been to South America. There's that way in which we need to enter into someone else's experience. It's very important, but also to draw back and say, actually, I haven't seen that myself, but I'm so enriched by hearing that description. And that enrichment that I experience, I can bring into looking in my garden or looking at the landscape here, which is not the Andes, it's just a hill. But I can look at that hill in a new way because I've been enlivened by Humboldt's description of the Andes. So I don't know, a similar description for Steiner. To read his descriptions enlivens me in a way that I can't describe. And it allows me then to have my own perceptions of the world being enlivened, not by believing him, but by allowing myself to be stirred by things that he says, stirred often in a way that I say, I can't handle that. It's just, that runs against something. Why does that plow? I often think of Steiner as a plow. You have a nice furrowed field where your expectations and understanding of the world are nicely neat. You've got it all sorted. And then Steiner comes with a plow and he just plows right across those furrows that you've made. And you say, you can't do this. But you look at it and say, thank you. My furrows are perfectly true, but there are other furrows at other angles and they may clash. Worms may get cut in the process.